On a day commemorating our country's independence, a crisis highlighting an all too familiar, all too American fear once again reared its ugly head. Here to unpack this and more is our political panel. Political strategist Alyncia Johnson is here, and former Republican Congressman David Jolly is also with us. Welcome to you both. Alyncia, I want to start with you because this shooting happened less than 2 weeks after President Biden signed bipartisan gun safety legislation into law. Now, we knew this bill wasn't bold. I've been saying it, and there is no sign that it would have actually prevented the shooter from carrying out this attack. But I want you to take a listen to these comments from Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois regarding that bill on Morning Joe.
I voted for it. It's going to save lives, but it still doesn't get to the root of this issue. We have a weapon. This weapon, we're not sure the specific weapon that was used yesterday, but the AR-15 is the most common weapon being used in mass shootings that has no sporting purpose, no hunting purpose, not really a self-defense purpose. It is a collector's item, and there are millions of them across America. They were invented for the military for mass killing. The military should be used for that purpose, and to say that they should be available for people even 18 years of age to purchase them goes way beyond anything the Second Amendment writers could have envisioned.
How can Americans navigate this crisis when, as Senator Durbin mentions, Senate Republicans remain unwilling to address the root of the problem?
Completely agreeing. You also didn't mention that the Supreme Court just emboldened people to be able to carry handguns throughout the United States. You know, guns are more protected than Black people, than women, than majority of people in the United States. And so it is a very frustrating thing to see that this continues to happen every single day. Some of these shootings make the headlines, but a lot of these mass shootings do not make the headlines. And so we actually need President Biden to be a little more forceful, but we also need Republicans to stop, sending their thoughts and prayers while they are over here gaslighting the American public that they are bolstering the gun lobby and that they won't actually show up and vote against these military weapons that do not belong. I don't even think they belong in the hands of police, let alone average American citizens. And so it is extremely frustrating that you have both sides of the aisle championing this bipartisan bill when it actually isn't addressing the root cause of the problem. That's too many guns.
Yeah, it was not bold. It made a difference. It was a first step, but it not the root cause, and it wasn't bold. Congressman, in the wake of the shooting in Highland Park, you actually tweeted this: on a day we pause to remember the birth of our new national identity, we are reminded that part of our enduring national identity is the scourge of mass shootings. This is who we've chosen to be. This is how we've chosen to exercise the liberty we now oddly celebrate today. I thought that was so powerful. What is your message to Americans who are grappling with the national identity crisis that you laid out there?
I think we have to realize that if our first identity is as Americans, not as partisans, then as Americans, this experiment in self-governance has led us to a very violent place where there is nowhere in our country that is safe from gun violence. Churches, schools, grocery stores, nightclubs, restaurants, wherever it might be, 4th of July parades. And there's a sad and tragic irony that on a day where we're celebrating this national identity that we declared, we're reminded of what our real identity is, which is we are one of the world's worst nations when it comes to gun violence. And it is because we have failed to address it, as you and Alyncia mentioned. We know where the answers are. We can look at leading nations around the world who have successfully addressed mass shootings. The answers are right in front of us. As Americans, we've chosen not to. As partisans, we can begin to unpack who really is responsible for the failure in American gun policy, and that is on the Republican side of the aisle.
It only happens in this way in America. And I think that is nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be proud of. There is another side to the national conversation that we're having right now about guns and gun violence, and it relates to the recent police shooting in Akron, Ohio. And I want to talk about that. And frankly, in Akron right now, the Walker family is still reeling, and they still have so many questions. I'm talking about the incident in which 25-year-old Jayland Walker was shot by police officers, and he was killed. Now, allegedly, Walker was shooting outside of his car at officers during a high-speed chase, according to the officers. And investigators say he was unarmed when he exited the car and was running from police. None of this, though, in my opinion, answers the question of why more than 90 rounds were fired, 60 of which pierced Jayland Walker's body, and then the police proceeded to handcuff a dead Jayland Walker. So, Olyncia, I think the question that I have right here is, what do you say to those folks who insist that police are justified in their use of force because Walker allegedly shot out of the vehicle at them? Because that's the conversation that people are having right now.
Yeah, you know, I'm still grappling with this massacre, right? This brutal slaughter of a man, over 60 bullets in one man's body. And yet you have people who go in and to a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. You have people who target parade watchers. You have people who target concert goers in Las Vegas. The list goes on and on and on. And those murderers get to walk out of these incidents without even anyone shooting at them. And I don't believe that anyone should be apprehended. I don't believe that the police should be shooting any of these shooters. But when it comes to Black people in the United States, for some reason, the police believe that they should shoot first and then make up a story later. And then the government wants to tell Black residents who are extremely frustrated, Black residents and our allies who are extremely frustrated with these brutal killings, that we should protect property when our lives are not being protected. And so America has something to really reckon with, especially coming off what's supposed to be a weekend celebrating our freedom, when one segment of the population, unfortunately, is scared of the people who are supposed to protect and serve them, and yet they will be facing down a gun barrel, unfortunately, when they're unarmed.
We could spend a whole show on just this one topic, which, you know, I might have to consider that in the future. Before we go, I want to talk about Brittney Griner, because after being locked in a Russian prison for more than it's 100 days now on drug smuggling charges, the WNBA star penned a handwritten letter to President Biden. And this is what she wrote, quote, "As I sit here in a Russian prison, alone with my thoughts and without the protection of my wife, family, friends, Olympic jersey, or any accomplishments, I am terrified I might be here forever." She wrote this letter to, again, President Biden. And Congressman, I'm wondering, do you think that the White House is being vocal enough in its determination to bring her home? Obviously, let's just be clear what's happening here. Whatever the Russian government has asked for, the United States has determined that they are unwilling to give it. So where do we go from here?
I think the question is what is happening behind the scenes, because there should be much happening behind the scenes. She was detained because of who she is, not because of the crime under Russia law that she committed. It is because of the geopolitical situation, and Russia saw an opportunity to have leverage and to have a piece on the chessboard. So I would presume that the Biden administration is doing a lot behind the scenes. If they're not, they need to be. And if they are not doing anything behind the scenes, then they can at least be vocal in the demand that she be released. We are seeing an injustice because of who she is, not because of the crime she allegedly committed under Russian law. I think the Biden administration should be doing something about it. They may be. We will find out.
We will find out. I know the State Department spokesperson has been very vocal about Brittney Griner, but again, it's what's happening behind the scenes that we do not know enough about yet. Olyncia Johnson, former Congressman David Jolly, thank you both for being here.